Okay, everybody got their coffee, got their tea? Well, buckle up, buckaroos, because we're talking about Mayor Steve Allender today, and I'm going to break all this down in 10 minutes or less. So what we were talking about is Mayor Allender talking smack about good patriots of Rapid City. Number two, funneling like $200,000 to a close associate and a lady who used to be his campaign treasurer, and giving her consulting firm over $30,000 of, you guessed it, Rapid City taxpayer money. Why? Because home rule. What is home rule? Why is it dangerous? And why do they want it to increase your taxes? So let's read. First article from the Rapid City Journal, love those guys, goes Dr. Seuss and the Constitution. Youth City Council gets introduced to city government. So it only took them to the third paragraph to piss me off. This is what we're talking about. The Rapid City Youth City Council received a lecture on the Constitution from Mayor Steve Allender and a reading of Dr. Seuss's The Sneetches from Malcolm Chapman in its first meeting of the year on Tuesday night. So the Sneetches, we're talking about high school age kids, and it's not like everyone can't take a lesson from Dr. Seuss at some point, but let's take it up a notch. So Allender asked the group to do a sing-along of Schoolhouse Rock version of the preamble to the Constitution, then gave a presentation on what it means to be involved in politics, and out of all the takeaways of what it means to be involved in politics, maybe some great insight he could give as being mayor of, one of the greatest cities in the U.S. with huge historical significance. This is what he gives us. When the city council considered a mask mandate, quote, there were a bunch of angry citizens coming up to this microphone, yelling at the city council members, pointing fingers, saying things that weren't always done in a nice way, Allender said, and they were protected by that same Constitution. He's telling a bunch of kids this. This is the equivalent of when parents get divorced and one divorced parent tells the kid how bad the other parent is. He's framing this in such a negative way that this is what he's teaching to the Rapid City kids from maybe you've got, whoever is watching this, do you have like grandkids or school age kids or something? I wonder if they went back and told their classmates of all these angry people, but you've seen the updates, you've seen the highlight reels that I did, and everybody was pretty well South Dakota nice, although some people got a little louder than others, but it sounds like Mayor Allender needs a safe space. So let's move on to the next good thing. This, we're going to look at peoplesrule.org. Very important website to keep an eye on right now, because we're going to be talking about why Allender wants home rule and how he's given money to his campaign buddies. So very important if you like to know where your tax dollars go, because this is where they're heading. City spends $38,000 on home rule, no results. Published January 6th of this year, just a few days ago. So let's cover this very briefly. This is a name that you're going to want to pay attention to. Helen Userra. This is the lady who is Allender's campaign treasurer. So according to documents obtained by the People's Rule Ballot Question Committee since May 4th of 2020, the city of Rapid City has spent $38,000 to study home rule and then make a recommendation to the mayor and city council. Have we got a recommendation? No. To date, no recommendation has been made, nor has the charter or even its draft versions been made public. Of the $38,000 spent, almost 90% of those expenses are attributed to Helen Userra's company, Userra Consulting, LLC, for her role as facilitator of the Home Rule Charter Committee. Facilitator. For $38,000, you bet I could facilitate a bunch of stuff, but that's your tax dollars. That's your money going right to Userra, who was Allender's campaign treasurer. So let's continue on, because importantly, peoplesrule.org just put out an article today, January 14th. That's the date today. This is new. Exposed. Mayor Allender's about $200,000 backroom deals. So remember Userra that we were talking about? Here's the takeaway from that. Allender, in his position as mayor, helped contribute $177,300.09 to Helen Userra, either directly or indirectly through her employers she was working for. So shortly after Mayor Steve Allender's reelection on June 4th, and that's in 2019, under Mayor Allender's direction, the City of Rapid City Council voted July 15th to contribute $141,000 through a community development block grant to the Abbott House Children's Home. And that's based out of Mitchell, South Dakota, but they're contributing it to the house that they were putting up in Rapid City. So who was the Assistant Director of Development of the Abbott House? You guessed it, that would be Helen Userra, also of Userra Consulting, LLC, who's supposed to be facilitating facilitating the home rule thing, which I'm going to tell you why you don't want it, because you don't. So let's move along. December 16th. 2019, the City Council voted to authorize the mayor to form the Home Rule Charter Committee, where Mayor Allender, 50 days later, hired his former campaign treasurer, Helen Usera, on a no-bid contract to provide task force facilitation and research, totaling $33,575 of your tax money in direct payments to Usera's consulting firm, Usera Consulting, LLC. If you're not mad about that, I don't know what. I would be pretty cheesed off about it. But according to City Hall insiders, concerns over the no-bid contract were raised by city council persons in the spring of 2020. So they were told by the mayor's office at that time it was acceptable because the cost was under $50,000, and the mayor has authority to spend that without council approval, and because it's a professional service, it's self-exempt from bidding. But guess what? These good people at peoplesrule.org, they dug up the Rapid City Municipal Code, and it states the limitation of $50,000 or less only applies to the purchase of equipment. So I don't see Usera Consulting using a track hoe or a blade or a pickup truck for snow removal. That's not what they're doing. And it also goes on to state that expenditures for supplies and services may be made without council approval if it's an amount less than $25,000, noting that $33,000 has been expended to Usera Consulting LLC. So basically, it just goes against a bunch of these Rapid City municipal codes, South Dakota criminal law, and also they dug up that the SDCL 5-18A, which defines a professional service as one arising out of a vocation, calling, occupation, or employment involving specialized knowledge, labor, or skill. And the labor or skill involved is predominantly mental or intellectual. So opponents of this said that specialized knowledge, this does not apply to the Usera Consulting because they're simply doing facilitating. This is not a professional service like a lawyer, an engineer, architect, or anything like that. So again, it's just not falling under anything. So Allender, what are you doing with the people's tax money and so much of it? So what do you think? Are you excited that Usera Consulting LLC got about $30-some thousand to come up with something for home rule and facilitate something? Is that what you guys want your money spent on? I'm betting it's not. So let's take a look at another article which outlines why a big disadvantage of this is something that you're going to want to pay attention to in the future regarding Rapid City. And it says home rule municipalities aren't bound by state-set tax limits. While this is an advantage to governments that want to increase revenue, this may not be appealing to citizens who don't want to see their taxes go up because they hire a city manager who could be from California, wherever. They come in, they try and run it like a corporation, generate revenue, and the only way for cities to generate revenue pretty much is by raising your taxes, getting those dollars coming in. And if they're going to be going to sweetheart deals like this Usera Consulting LLC, who got a no-bid contract, that's something you should be concerned about. And the theory could be said that Allender, who's got a house in Piedmont, although he says he doesn't live there, could be city manager because you don't have to reside within city limits. So he could have his low tax base house out there, be the city manager for Rapid City, get paid much more than he does now, and then just drive up that tax revenue. And if he's already talking to kids about people yelling at him and pointing fingers and has the Rapid City Journal kind of in that pocket, in that vein, who's not covering this Usera Consulting LLC stuff, then you should be very concerned about that. So keep an eye out. Head over to peoplesrule.org. Look at their news articles. They're doing a great job. They also have a place to donate. Help them out because going to get gas to get all these things filed, pay for the filing fees, do all that work, web hosting, it's not free. It's not free. And I do these videos for free because I got family and friends down in Rapid City and I genuinely care. But head on over there, check it out, tell your friends and neighbors, show up to city council meetings. Also check out South Dakota Citizens for Liberty, who's doing great work, having huge get-togethers with tons and tons of interested people from both sides of the aisle. They're doing awesome work as well. So while people are getting kind of shut down and news sources are also getting silenced, we do have to keep an eye on local news. And do me a favor, share this around, maybe like, comment, and check it out. Go over to peoplesrule.org. This is where I'm getting this. Okay.